Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mitch Uber-Leslie.
A ja jestem Michał Uszat-Blicharz.
And it is our distinct pleasure to welcome you all here to Warsaw for the Wargaming.net League Grand Finals. Fourteen teams have travelled here from all around the world. That's right, every Wargaming.net League region have brought teams here. Teams coming here to play for a massive prize pool of 300,000 euros. Of course, also the fabled Monolith Trophy. And who can pass up the chance to be called the Grand Tanks Champions of the world?
14 drużyn z całego świata przyjechało tutaj walczyć o $300,000, o tytuł mistrza świata i o fantastyczne, sławne już trofeum o Monolith.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, before we get into it, it is my and our distinct pleasure, of course, to welcome to the stage Wargaming CEO Victor Kiesley.
I teraz chcielibyśmy zaprosić na scenę osobę, która otworzy turniej, pan prezes Wargaming. Bardzo proszę, głośne brawa, Victor Kiesley.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming here to, well, pretty much the biggest and the most important event of wargaming so far. I know that these 14 teams which come here for the final battle, they have come a long way fighting in their regions all over the world throughout the whole year. And the fact that you guys, the teams, are here means that you are the best of the best world's esports, champions. Thank you very much. Just imagine these 14 teams, seven players each, they're the best amongst 80 million World of Tanks players around the world. And in the beginning, there was 40,000 teams starting this Wargaming League in the beginning of 2013. So no wonder that these guys are the best. I had a chance myself as a kind of show match to play against some esports teams like in China, in Australia, in Germany, in Russia. I have no chance. Those guys, they just roll over you. But I know that this does not come easy. I know that these guys who will be playing here for 3 days, they have been training thousands of hours. So they came through, blood and sweat and hard work and training and communication and everything. So I want to say that you guys, the 14 teams, you really deserve this, and you really, you have to be proud of what you have achieved. I also want to thank the city of Warsaw, the Wargaming esports team, and our fantastic partner ESL for organizing this wonderful event here in the city of Warsaw. Let's applaud to the organizers. So again, talking to the teams, yes, you come here for victory. You come here to get the trophy. You will have, and you know that, you will have to show your skills. You have to show your teamwork. But that's not all. Today, tomorrow, and Sunday, that's not all. You guys also have to show your passion. This is going to be, and I know this is going to be a great, great show. So let the strongest team win. Let's battle! Thank you.
Thank you for your inspiring words, Victor, as well. I know a lot of people are really keen to see how these first few games go, especially the whole weekend. But tell us, who are you cheering for this weekend? Which of our 14 teams are you cheering for?
That's not an easy question. Well, before coming here, I asked my guys, okay, which team out of the 14 had the most difficult road to the grand finals? Who was the underdog, maybe? You have to understand, I'm sorry, I cannot officially cheer for one team. This will not be fair, right? But when it comes to my mind, I'm convinced now that the most difficult road to here to Warsaw was for the guys from the Singapore teams called PvP Super Friends, cause but I'm not, PvP, yes, because, you know, the guys from Singapore, there's some guys from, I know, Australia, so far away, you know, Asia Pacific. Unfortunately, they did not have the best ping time because, you know, the infrastructure and stuff, we're working on that. So they really broke through oceans and continents to be here today. So, but only the best team will win this time. Only the best team will win this time.
Certainly. And look, and you mentioned the trophy earlier on. So let us welcome to the stage Mo from Wargaming with the trophy. 27 kilos, ladies and gentlemen, of solid aluminium. This trophy represents the metal and the true grit that it takes to become the very best team in the world. This is what the teams are playing for today. And of course, not just today, ladies and gentlemen, but over the rest of the weekend. But before we get any deeper into the pleasantries, let's meet our mobile host duo, Melly and Sean. Take it away, guys.
Thank you so much, Mitch. I mean, that trophy is nothing short of phenomenal.
Indeed, it definitely deserves its name.
The monolith. Now, of course, as we said, we're going to be here in Warsaw, Poland. Beautiful, beautiful Warsaw. We're here 4 stories up in a super mega mall. We've got another 4 stories, this huge, huge theater, all behind us, all these people, loads of fans. I'm going to be running around trying to get the backstage info, get some interviews. But of course, if you're watching at home, you get to speak to the lovely Melly.
Indeed, I have the great honor to be your social media host for the next 3 days. And I will make sure that you guys at home feel like you're right here with us at the venue.
So, of course, make sure you reach out to us, use the hashtag on Twitter, the Grand Finals, and of course, we're going to get you all the details that you're looking for. But for now, we have to pass it back to the man who always can.
The lovely Midge.
Thank you very much, guys. How flattering. Well, look, now we've had a bit of a look at how you guys can get involved in the conversation here in Warsaw if you are watching online. Let's have a bit of a look at how the weekend is going to work. Up on your screen there is our schedule. Today, the 8 teams who are yet to qualify into the playoffs are going to be split into 2 groups of 4, aptly named Group A and Group B. Tomorrow, we'll be moving into the playoffs with those that qualified from today, as well as the teams who are ready and waiting to take them on. The winning teams from this stage will move, of course, onto our final day of play with the deciding matches running into that grand final match where it all will be going down. Now we've seen a little bit about how the weekend's going to look. Let's put today under the microscope. Group A is going to be the one we're starting with. Our first match is going to be, of course, the Lemming trains going up against Synergy, which is going to be an old EU grudge match, but we'll get onto that a little bit later. Our second game will, of course, be Simp from North America going up against our second wildcard entrant, Warsaw. Of course, if you don't know, Lemming trains were also wildcard entrants. The winners from these games will, of course, progress through the upper bracket, and the losers will still have a chance to make their way out of the group through lower bracket play. Now we've got that sorted, let's start to have a look at these teams in a little bit more detail. We'll pass over to our experts over at the analysis desk, headed up by Joshua Clutch Gray. Joshua, take it away.
Uber, is exciting to be here. I am Joshua Clutch Gray, joined on the analysis desk by Wilkie from Free Fall, representing Finland, and Mr. Mojo from Kazakh Crew, all the way from Serbia. Gentlemen, this is a huge tournament. The best of the best teams from around the world competing for over $300,000 for a prize pool. How exciting is this being from the pro teams?
Well, this is the biggest event of the year. This is what they have been working for the whole year. So this is it. This is what matters.
This is it. 3 seasons for each of these regions to make it to this spot. Both of you competed, and to see so much of a powerhouse from Russia and also in EU. We have the team representatives, Lemming Train and Synergy, the first ones that are coming up here for the first matchup. Mr. Mojo, this is still anybody's game, but it is a Russian powerhouse when we see these teams.
Yeah, we have many Russian teams. They're really advanced because they started playing first and they're showing their dominance in those steps. But we're all hoping maybe something will happen.
It is anybody's game, and that's the exciting part about seeing each of these teams from the different regions and what they bring. We've seen changes, we've seen developments and growth from the different regions. Myself, more acclimated to America and the different teams and different type of tactics that they bring, some of them way out of left field, and have worked in those scenarios, but can it work up against an international tournament? That is the big question that we're going to see. However, a lot of these teams like to emulate others, especially when they see tactics and strategies that are very, very successful. But we're going to see the types of strategies and tactics each of these regions are going to bring with the best of the best. And the first two teams that we have today, ladies and gentlemen, is Lemming Train versus Synergy. And these teams have a history. Lemming Train, 3rd place in DreamHack, 5th place at Gamescom, 3rd place at Gamescom. Synergy, 1st place at DreamHack, 2nd place at Gamescom. These two kind of go back and forth a lot in a lot of their matches. And so, who do you think has the advantage in this matchup?
Well, they have faced each other many, many times, so I think it will come down whichever team has been training the most. That's what matters. So hard to say. Of course, Lemming Train will have the 8th player, the crowd, but of course it can backfire if you get too much pressure.
I mean, they're the hometown heroes. They are from Poland. Yeah. But, you know, Synergy, they were from Team Dignitas, but now they've changed back to Synergy, and I think they have a lot to prove at this tournament as well. But when it comes to player stats and how well they play, they're a fantastic team.
By player stats, they're more dominant than Lemming Train, but Lemming Train plays a compact game that can counter them. So we will see. Lemming Train is by home audience, and Synergy has to prove something because they're second in Europe only because of one no-show on one of the finals. And you would not know will they be better or Virtus. And they're here to prove it, because if they leave this group, this is called like a death group of the tournament, they can prove something and they can go sky high.
Well, let's take a look at what Lemming Train had to say for themselves.
We are in Poland, so we will try to kick their ass. We will not be a very nice team for our enemies, so we just want to win. This is why we are playing here with our fans and for our fans. We are trying to prepare as good as possible. We think that we can win. We have a hard group. The rules are not the best for us, but we will try to beat them. So. We know that we are at this tournament as a wildcard team, but we know that we are good. We know that we are the best in Europe, not based on the Russian players. We have other successes, and we know that we are good, and others also know that we are good. So we are not here as a Princess Cinderella or something like that. We want to win.
Let me go, Lemming Train!
Carmen dropping the gauntlet, saying they are the best EU team. And they are the invitational. They are the wild card in this setup. And let's take a look at the team stats, how they value overall for what they bring to the table. Aggressiveness, not too bad. Creativity, they're kind of in the mid-range. Accuracy, they have some problems, but it's all about that decision-making. And we're going to talk about this a lot, gentlemen, throughout the weekend. We see the decision-makers when they are able to enact a strategy, stick to that strategy, and for it to be a success. But when things go awry, when things go wrong, that's when teams have to be flexible and to listen to their shot caller, to listen to their leader. What is it about their decision-making that makes them stand out compared to other teams?
Lemming Train actually has 7 different shot callers. Every single player from the team is a shot caller, so they are really flexible on making the calls. If one cannot do it, the other guy will make it.
But could that also be a drawback if you have so many chiefs and not enough Indians, too many cooks in the kitchen, too many people trying to call out?
Well, sometimes, of course, my own team, Freefall, we have 3 callers, so I think it works, but you need to have a really good chemistry. It's all about that.
That is going to be so crucial for each of these teams. Chemistry is very, very important. But is it better just to have one leader or to have many leaders that are all in sync together, Mr. Mojo?
I'd say one top leader is the better, but you need sub-leaders, someone that can take over the part of the battlefield you can't see yourself. So that is definitely preferential.
Well, one of the leaders on the team is Alien. Now, this guy is creative when we look at his different strategies and what he's able to do on the battlefield. Taking a look at his stats, 2.17k damage per game. Kill ratio, not too bad, fellas, 2.66. 23,000 personal battles. What have we seen from him so far that makes him stand out?
Well, Alien is the playmaker of the Lemming train. The Lemming train is really playing as a team, but Alien is one of the sole players, so he will make the plays, try to scout, and a star player of their team. Usually he might overstand a bit, but there is always Potomaker supporting him, so he gets the support that he needs to make those awesome plays. So
I look forward to seeing the type of plays that he's going to show his hometown crowd here in Poland. Now, their opponents, Synergy, is a team that we've seen in the headlines kind of recently with the drop of Team Dignitas, but we can't argue that they are a powerhouse team. Obviously, that's why they're here, placing second in the overall season matchups. First place at DreamHack, second place at Gamescom. But let's go ahead and see what they have to say about themselves.
I represent my country and my team for second time. First time it was WCG last year, and we are very proud to represent Ukraine and Russia.
We feel quite good prepared because we were training a lot and we were trying our best to prepare for these tournaments as good as we can.
We feel as a part of Grand Final very good. It's our main target for last year.
We are gonna get ya!
They're going to get you in this best of three. We're going to find out who's going to take it, breaking down this team's stats, how they compare to the other ones. Get a bit of the personality on the battlefield. Aggressiveness, boom. This is a team that's aggressive coming out of Europe. Creativity, they don't do too bad. Accuracy, on-the-move accuracy, in-placement accuracy, positioning. This is a team that can definitely bring it in Europe. Mr. Mojo, what is it about Synergy that people should fear?
They have a lot of players that can solo play. They can carry a team independently from the majority. Their leader, Stalker, is also game caller, and he's a tier 1 that likes to progress and spot for the team aggressively. And they have players like Applebow, who plays carry tanks like 3090, 5100, that knows how to survive, when to do damage, how to position, and when to strike at the enemy, and go away alive and do it again if needed.
Now, the 5100 positioning is going to be so crucial throughout this entire tournament because we see many, many times, especially in America, if a 5100 is caught out and damaged or misses a couple of their shots, when you don't have that damage dealer on that 7x42 playing field, any team, if they're flexible enough, can move around that danger and pinpoint and overmatch in almost any scenario. So I feel that teams that can really hone their 5100 play are going to be so crucial, and Synergy is one of those teams. Now let's take a look at Apple. Wow, here's an incredible 5100 player. Damage per game, it's spread out between his team, 1.43k. Kill death ratio, almost 2. So a lot of the damage is spread between them, but he gets a lot of the kills. Personal battles, 2.9k in his personal account. It doesn't matter on the personal account. It matters in the game.
It gives him the credit. I think this is just European account he uses for Go For What. He's actually quite higher skilled player. And he's one of the cool guys that know how to finish the game. One of the rare ones in the game.
And that's what's important, how you finish in the game and how you play with your team. Well, overall, gentlemen, Lemming Train versus Synergy. This is a big matchup to have at the beginning. Lemming Train may have the home favorite, but we've talked about nerves. We've talked about how difficult it would be to perform for the first time in front of such a large crowd in such a big tournament. But I feel that these teams are up to par with what's necessary to perform at their best because they've all had experiences performing in front of crowds at these different season finals that we've seen around the regions. But for you, as a pro player, when you compete, what is going through your mind before a big match like this?
Well, sadly, I haven't had the chance to make a big match, so I think still Mojo has a...
We've had a lot of online matches, which is a lot different.
Of course. I'm a really calm person, so I'm pretty much just thinking and going on my tactic. I'm going to produce the tactic with my team and just chilling out, going laid back, relax before the game, because when the shit hits the van, it's there.
It's tough. Mr. Mojo, you've competed in all 3 seasons.
Yep.
As a pro player, what's going through your mind?
When you're coming to the venue, you think, oh my God, did I prepare enough? Did I think of everything? But when you sit down to a computer, you only think about your mates because they are the ones that have to carry everything with you. So you need to bond with them and do everything calmly.
Well, the team captains will be on stage in just a sec for the coin toss. And how this is going to work is that the team that wins the coin toss will be the decider, to be the home team or the away team. Now, the home team gets to eliminate the first map. The away team eliminates the second map. It goes back and forth for 4 maps for the best of 3. After that, the home team decides the third map. Away team decides the second map, vice versa. Now, if you decide the map, the opposite team gets to decide which side. And as we were talking about before the broadcast, most of these teams favor the side over the map that is chosen. Would you agree?
Yeah, definitely. The side is usually the one they want to pick, not the map. Because even if you have a better map that you think I'm better in this map, if the enemy team decides the tactical, that's the side there's more.
It's definitely like, you know, from both sides can allow them to and focus.
In the veto process, when you eliminate those type of maps, some teams would rather have the map choice. We see the 2 team captains deciding with our referee if they'll be the home or away team. And you can see the map pulled down below: Himmelsdorf, Ruinberg, Ensk, Cliff, Prokhorovka, as we say over in America, Prokhorovka, just to upset Soviet because he makes fun of us for mispronouncing it. Mines and Steps. Still waiting for the choice between the 2 teams. And we actually have a winner, Himmelsdorf, which is a different tile set, different map set.
Yeah, it's new map to the game, pretty more better graphics, so good to have the winner Himmelsdorf version.
All right, Steps and Ruinberg are eliminated.
I was actually waiting Steps to be banned because it was the most banned map in the VGL EU finals.
We had Abbey as part of our map pool in North America, and that's the map that we actually would see either the longest games or the most draws. Still waiting for the 3rd veto.
Winter Himmelsdorf also has some new features like pushes on different spots. It will be interesting. Did they find something that no one saw before they can utilize actually in their game?
That will be really interesting to see.
Mines is veto. 1 more veto to go. Alien is waiting to decide. Looks like he has informed the ref. And after that, they'll choose the maps and pick the sides. Cliff is the final veto. Intriguing. I actually find this to be one of the most balanced maps when it comes to positioning between the 2, at least over the American side, what we've seen.
Yeah, of course. But Cliff usually goes to dirty fighting, and well, Synergy is going to be a bit more tactical team, and maybe Lemming Train doesn't feel themselves so comfortable in the Cliff, so we shall see.
Well, the difference between the city maps and the more open maps, different tank lineups, different tank picks. Now, we're not going to see the tank picks. They're going to be blind tank picks here, so it'll be a surprise to all of us. It'll be a surprise to the other teams, but I look forward to seeing what that type of rule set's going to bring to the table. Himmelsdorf, the 3rd map that is chosen. Now, it's more of a city map, and I look forward to the winner set as well, but I look forward to the type of hill play these teams will bring, because we've seen many, many times in North America, and also watching a couple of the Asian and North American games, that hill play can be incredibly detrimental to someone that overcommits to it, or sometimes a huge boon to a team that is able to get that higher ground and land those shots down the D or the G line sometimes. Prokhorovka, 2nd map that is chosen. 1 more map.
Prokhorovka will be interesting because both teams in the EU, they tend to pick at T69s, and with blind picks, that's not the easy pick, as if the enemy picks the T32s, the T69 will have a hard time.
I actually think we will see some mixture because they will still need mobility.
Yep, of course.
So it will be decided by playstyle because this is big map. You need spotting, you need mobility, you need to be able to flank.
Ensk will be the first map that we'll see. The first battle for the Wargaming.net League Global Grand Finals. There we see both the teams setting up. Coaches, refs making sure they're all good to go. While they continue to get set up, gentlemen, let's talk about the 7x42 format. Now, this is a different format compared to what we see in public games, pub games, which is 15 on 15.
Yeah.
42 points indicates how many points you can bring, obviously, to the battlefield. And the 42 variation means we see about 5 tier 8s and 2 tier 1s. And a lot of people like to ask, especially in chat, what are T1 Cunninghams doing on the battlefield? Wilkie, why don't you break that down? Why would somebody bring a T1?
Well, you can pick from T1 or Lemming Lol Tractor. Those are the two mostly used T1 tanks in the game. The T1 is superior to the Lol Tractor because it can kill another T1 instantly with one clip. Lol Tractor cannot do that. And of course, you have the option to bring the 37mm gun that you can hurt the bigger tanks to. And of course, T1s are acting as a scout for the team and sometimes the cappers.
I think there's a running pool in some of the regions. If anybody kills a 5100 with a T1, they might have a little side game or side bet on the side. But it is so fantastic to watch sometimes. And even with the L1 tractor, some of the penetration values it can bring, or even setting a tank on fire.
But a lot of stuff has happened during the tournaments. Like we could have seen tier 1s dealing 600 to 800 damage if they set 5100 to fire. We had it in some matches on Ensk. So tier 1 is not just a spotter. He can be a damage dealer in good hands. But more important, he is like a bait to other team. He needs to buy his time to occupy other tanks while they're chasing him, so your main force does the damage and everything taking the position all over the map. So he's, I don't know, like a messenger from the team.
He is a messenger. And the scouting tactics are so crucial, especially at the beginning of the map, and that's why we want to see where the T1s are going at the beginning. And on Ensk, there's multiple positions the T1s can sit and wait to get information of the enemy team that allows the opposite side of their positioning to push forward or to move or to adjust their position to try to set up a crossfire or an overmatch. And when you lose those two T1s, when you lose those scouts, that's eyes and ears you no longer have on the battlefield. Also, that's capture pressure that each of these teams need to have. And there's many instances where a team will win because their two T1s were completely unaccounted for, got behind the scenes into the enemy territory and were able to get the capture. So they always are that little threat. And if a team can get that kill, it is a fantastic kill to get, except if it's a shot from a 5100. And that's where T1s can actually prove to be kind of a bodyguard compared to the other tanks.
On Ensk, T1s are especially valued as gold. This is a very small map. When engagement starts, you really need your tier 1s to know their job and to start cap pressure immediately, because if that happens, if you have even advantage of one tier 1, they have to send a big tank, a main carry tank back to reset and mainly lose a battle. So they're really, really important in Ensk, and they will have to watch them really carefully how they do.
Now, a lot of the matchups that we'll see, especially on a city map, is usually 3 5100s and 2 IS3s, or vice versa, 3 IS3s and 2 5100s. This is pretty much the favorite bread and butter type of lineup for each of these teams. Top tier, one of the teams that didn't make it to the Global Grand Finals but made it to the Season 3 Finals for North America, was throwing that lineup out the window and was bringing something completely different. To us as commentators, we are seeing tanks that we've never even seen before in 7x42. However, it may have been affected for a surprise value, it may have worked as a fun tactic, but it didn't work in the end to get them to the #1 spot in the finals. Is there any reason any of these teams should bring something besides the 5100 and IS3 lineups?
If they think that this surprise lineup would shake the enemy, then yes, but I think every single team has prepared themselves so good that it doesn't matter in this tournament. I think we will see mostly IS3s and 5100s.
Mr. Mojo?
I think also tanks like T32 have been tested, Borsig given, T69s especially before it was nerfed because of high penetration and it had spawn on rail, so you would get a really early spot on any enemy team what they're doing. But now people usually just choose the safe way, the balance between alpha of IS3s and mobility and damage of 5100s. And they all rely now on team movements more than specific characteristic of a certain tank.
And for more of the open maps, I'm sure the audience, both live here at the Multi-Kino and also watching from around the world, will see the differences on more open maps, where we'll have Pershings, sometimes T32s, my favorite tank, #NoCons to everyone watching on Twitter. And when we see those different lineups, I like the type of pushes, the type of pincer attacks that they bring, and also the walls. I mean, the T-32's 298 armor to the front value of the turret. I mean, they can use that hold-down approach in positioning so well, but it has to be executed right. Because if you sit and wait for too long, those T-32s can get hit from the sides. They're not as mobile as a Pershing.
They're usually used in combo with Object 416, who covers them from behind, from far distance, unspotted, and they have high penetration and very accurate gun. So if someone picks now T-32s, that will be a slower game. That you cannot really effectively push with them because you can get flanked easy. So this will really be how they prepared and what they want to do psychologically against that other team, because they're all watching each other demos, they know each other well. They might even want to surprise each other.
There we see Fnatic in the crowd. They will not play until tomorrow because they are the #1 seed from North America. Their counterparts, Simp, are facing Team Warsaw from Germany at this very moment. They're playing in the foyer. We'll try to give you guys an update at the end of that match. But we're going to focus on the hometown heroes, Lemming Train versus Synergy. Final preparations almost complete for both these teams. You see Carmen over in the left-hand corner. He always likes to come up to me and ask how I'm doing. He's always very excited, and he always is very opinionated about certain things. But it's also great to have such a vocal voice in the player base, even if it is negative or positive between these guys. And to have their personality show in these videos is also very, very important. We're going to see plenty of their personality in the game, but we want to see how these guys act amongst each other in these different regions. We have different teams from Southeast Asia and Korea, South Korea. Now, South Korea has been the mecca of esports for many, many years, and they have dominated in a range of different games. But when it comes to World of Tanks, it is the Russians and the Europeans that are dominating. And from America, two teams that are rivals have been working together to try to get that trophy, to try to defeat their opponents from across the ocean.
To prove the Western dominance.
To prove Western dominance, to prove to be the best in the West. But it's the same coming out from Na'Vi. And when I asked many, many people if there was one team they would root for outside of America, they would say Na'Vi. What is it about Na'Vi that each of these teams looks up to?
Well, they was the first pro team in the scene, so everyone looks up to them. They have been together a really long time from the start, so there haven't been any player movements from the team, so they are the best team at the moment. So
I would say they're really long friends, because for a team to survive so long, that means they have faith in each other's competence inside the friendship. So that matters a lot. That makes them harmonic, and they're able to endure a lot of pressure. They have been tested a lot of times, but no one managed to overthrow them yet. They took everything that is possible in this game, and they are absolute favorites. They're something like no bet house wants to bet on against. But everything can happen. Maybe if they don't take this serious enough, which they haven't done so far, maybe they can fall. It's like Titans. They fell to the younger gods.
That's very true, man. It's very true. I love how you bring up that type of imagery that we see. Any Titan can fall. Any of these teams can fall. And that's why this tournament is so important. Maybe a lot is more at stake for Na'Vi, but between Lemming Train and Synergy, you know, two teams that I think are pretty intimate when it comes to knowing each other's strategies, because they've battled so many times in that same format, that they have to be innovative. They have to bring something to the table that's a little bit different. If they keep playing the same strategies from season 1, 2, and 3, people can copy that, know how to counter that, and do it every single time. So gentlemen, as part of pro teams, how do you stay innovative without losing skill or the power or the strength of certain team lineups?
You need to practice endlessly against different teams and find your own weaknesses and recognize them. That is the important part. And then you need to adjust. And that way you can't, your enemies simply can't see it on time. Then you come with something different and show it when you want, at last possible moment. Now these guys, they met at Tichy at the final of the third season, and Lemming Train lost there. They lost 3-1. So they want to pay back 100%. They were pretty angry.
Payback indeed. Overall, the evolution of World of Tanks, about when the league was forming across the world, we saw Arty being used. And then, with changes to Arty, we didn't see it used anymore. Could any of these teams introduce Arty on one of these maps? Or is it a complete gamble that's not even worth it?
At the moment, from the map pool, Steps is the one map that we might see around early, but I don't think so. it's not a viable pick at the moment. So
I think it goes under theoretical, really, because if you see it picked and you cannot stop it from being seen when the screen is loaded, you can immediately adjust your tactic and really hard pressure that team. And Artis didn't gamble. Will it hit? Will it not? Will it just get spotted and get shot?
It's a big accuracy gamble, but also depends on the map. I say steps is quite open, unless you get behind some of those rocks. But if you're playing for the draw, which some of these teams may do, and how that works in this best of 3, if a team wins the first battle, they get 1 point. If the next battle's a draw, both teams get 1 point. The team that won the first battle wins the series. So we could see a lot of these tactics coming from these teams to be hyper-aggressive in battle number 1, and then can't wait for the other team to either make a mistake or to come towards them, play that defensive play, and win the series. It's a smart tactic. It's part of the game.
Yeah, actually,
and they could do that with artillery, but I agree with you, the accuracy gamble is way too high.
I actually expect them to play more careful first game. They will all fear exactly of that, to lose the first game because they're doing something hasty, and then to be faced with a team that can camp against them. So I think the first game will be most cautious ones.
We're waiting for verification to make sure all the players are ready, ladies and gentlemen. We've got to make sure everything is good to go for them because we want them to play to the optimal settings that they have to play their best. Make sure to hashtag the Grand Finals on Twitter. Melly will be checking in with us a little bit later on the desk to talk to you guys and to interact with everyone as well. I mean, I love seeing people send pictures of their setups, who they think's going to win. To all my American friends, hashtag T32 no cons. It's a fun thing that we like to do in North America. But when I have commentated and seen international events before we've had these grand finals, I have seen some strategies I never thought possible. I saw 3 T32s on steps coming from a team formerly known as Mouse Sports up against Na'Vi, and they won that battle. So I feel that a lot of surprises are in store for all of us here, but especially from the teams from China. Now, we are unfortunate to not see as much as we would like to in the Chinese scene. And we've been able to talk here and there with some of the players to establish what their play style is. But we're going to have to find out game by game by game what they're going to bring to the mix. And to bring us the first game, ladies and gentlemen, between Lemming Train and Synergy, I'm going to throw it over to our commentators, Laughter and Pansy.
Thank you so much, Clutch, and what a phenomenal welcome to this incredible venue with incredible teams, and everything seems to be going pretty well so far. And what a way to kick things off. Synergy up against Lemming Train. It's the match that obviously we're fairly used to by now, but it's certainly something we're looking forward to. And, you know, obviously I'm joined by Laughter, my usual partner in crime. And how are you feeling about this matchup?
I'm feeling pretty good about it. I think, you know, this is really, Mitch touched on a bit in his introduction, this is a pretty big grudge match. You know, these guys have been going back and forth since season 1. You know, wins here, losses here. And, you know, you speak to the Synergy guys, you speak to the Lemming Train guys, and they really do say to each other that, you know, those are our opposition, those are the guys we want to beat. So I think it always makes the games a little bit more interesting.
Certainly does. And as we saw there, we'll be starting on Ensk. And actually, we disagree with some of the stuff on the analysis desk. We believe this could be a real aggressive start. They want to get that win under their belt, and then they can hunker down and turtle down on the second map. I think that may be more logical. And obviously, the maps we're seeing here, we actually saw them last time we met up, didn't we? We saw them in that Season 3 final. These guys have been going head-to-head for years now, most recently in the European Season 3 semi-finals, where, sadly enough for Lemming Train, it was a then-titled Team Dignitas who took their spot in the finals, and Lemming Train had to bow out then. But both teams look extraordinarily focused, and you can see there that, no surprise, Stalker is barking out the commands to the rest of his teammates. And I want your predictions on this. Obviously, it's a huge event for these guys, and it's a harsh game to start with. Where would your money be on this one? Well,
Synergy does have the statistics and the results to really back them up. I mean, Season 1, they took the win against Virtus Pro, and that was quite a big upset because, you know, Virtus Pro did have that amazing 21 wins to 1 loss. Season 2, there was a no-show, so
hard to kind of keep that in mind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We didn't get to see what they were really capable of at Gamescom. Then we had the finals recently in Tychy, Poland, where obviously Virtus Pro bested them 4-2. So I think it kind of goes back and forwards a little bit.
Definitely.
Between these two teams in terms of their skill, they're pretty similar. You saw statistics at the beginning. A lot of similarities. You know, the coordination's good. Okay, you know, Synergy wins on accuracy, and we like to say accuracy is really a kind of example of skill. You know, if you can hit those shots when they count, then that's really what matters.
Oh, it certainly does. And if you agree with the man next to me, obviously, Laughter, do head on over to thegrandfinals.com and get your votes going, because we want to hear what you guys think at home as well. So make sure you get involved. Vote for your favorite team. Obviously, we've mentioned it several times, and we'll keep going on about this. Obviously, Lemming Train do have that essential extra player, the crowd. They're at home. They have that support behind them. So obviously the Polish fans should really be supporting these guys. So do head over to thegrandfinals.com and make sure you vote for your favorite team. And to be fair, Synergy are very polarizing. You know, some people love them, some people hate them. They're a little bit like the Marmite of of World of Tanks at the moment. So, you know, make sure you let your votes be known and your preferences found, because we do love hearing from you. And, you know, Stalker himself, the man on your screen there, literally does split people down the middle on occasion. You either really like him or you really hate him. And I can imagine his teammates feel the same way. I remember looking back to the Season 3 finals we were watching it not too long ago for the European region to refresh ourselves towards this matchup. And I remember, I think it was Applewell who made one mistake, and I saw Stalker rise out of his chair literally and just scream at him. They're so emotionally invested into this, and they may look calm now, but I assure you, once those tanks start rolling, the pressure starts hitting home.
Exactly, you know, it really does hit you when you get into the game, and that countdown, that 30-second countdown just hits 0. Then you realize that this is on, and you know they're playing for so much. They've got to get themselves out of this group of death. They've got to get themselves a few wins. You know, they've got the losers bracket because it is double elimination, but best of 3 does make it very hard as we jump into the first map, Ensk.
So, as you mentioned, it will be Ensk, ladies and gentlemen. Lemming Train will be on the blue side. Synergy representing the red side down in the south. And what do you think we're going to get so far? And take us through those tank lineups.
So, on the side of Synergy, we have a triple 5100, double IS3, double T1, and the same goes for Lemming Train. So, a matching setup from both these teams, which makes things a little bit more interesting. You can see how aggressive Synergy goes forward on this map. We've seen that before. They like to get themselves into a good, strong position at the beginning, really assert their dominance from the get-go. Yeah,
they certainly do, but we have to bear in mind what's happening on that northeast side of the map here. We see a bit of a flank coming around. And, you know, normally, by the evolution of this game within Europe at least, there was a lot of that green side play initially. They used to back away, maybe get a couple of shots down the central line, down the 6 line. But this seems going back to basics almost for Synergy here.
Yeah, and they have to be careful because Lemming Train's obviously innovating in their tactics, and they can actually sacrifice some real good moves as Alien just gets spotted out. First frag going to the side of Lemming Train, taking down Stalker, the actual team captain of Synergy. So first blood to Lemming Train.
Yeah, a nice little start there. And to be fair, it may seem minimal, but that has completely removed the vision of Synergy from that green side. They lost their eyes, areas, and the complete senses. They may have spotted one tank, but you can see the immediate reaction here. They're not messing around. They're going to be trying to find a way through now.
They have to make sure that they keep the pressure on, otherwise they're going to get a bit lax, and you know, they need to really prioritize their engagements, make sure that they're really using the advantage that they're getting. You can see how quickly Synergy are rotating back around, getting towards that green side, because they know Snip and Elian are over in the 5100 and the T1, pushing forwards, trying to get some vision, trying to do a little bit more damage. If they can catch out another T1, that's positive sitting that one for Synergy. That'll be 2 T1s down. Okay, this is not Himmelsdorf where a T1 makes a massive difference, but he can still add that extra dimension of pressure, which really in a firefight makes a huge difference.
It certainly does, and we are seeing polarizing positions here. Very much maybe the passive Ensk we occasionally see. You know, actually, funny enough, under the previous tag of Mouse Sports back in the day, we saw a very similar tactic to what Synergy are now doing, that now Lemming Train used against the likes of Virtus Pro, and it was something they certainly worked on. Now, do you think this is just pure practice, or is this something that's actually viable, and who has the upper hand in this position here?
Well, Synergy's a reactionary team, right? So you can hear Still Mojo talk about it a little bit. He says, okay, when they see something, they react immediately, and that's how they win their games. They're not always the first ones to make the move.
Yeah, and I want to point out something. I want to ask you a question as a player. Do you think they're using Alien almost as bait? Obviously, you can see the setup there on Lemming Train's side, down that 6 line, always trying to tease Synergy across to try and take that opportunity to take down Alien. Do you think that's the actual plan here?
That's exactly the plan. I mean, they know he's there. They know he's in squishy 5100. They can focus him down pretty quick. But you know what Lemming Train has done there is got 5100, so he's got 5 shells left in that autoloader, so he can do a lot of damage on the way through. Then you got Neopazorn, you got pretty much the rest of Lemming Train sitting up that railroads, which just give them a perfect line of sight through, and they'll just absolutely nail Synergy as they go across. And obviously Synergy, not stupid, being
not falling for that
one of the top contenders in the world to take this grand finals along with the other 13 teams. So I think these guys, they know what they're doing. and they just need to make sure they don't make any brash moves in this first game. This is the first game, and the real nerves do hit these guys hard, despite the massive amount of experience they have in these high pressure situations.
Yeah, most certainly, and you can see there is a slight movement happening actually. Dignitas Synergy now are considering their options here, obviously falling back, didn't fall for the bait on towards Alien. And now deciding maybe it's time to shuffle over, maybe try and find a new route through, because, we kind of theorize, let's say, that it's probably better to get the early advantage in this than depend on another map. So, going for Ensk, it's not maybe the most essential camping map. It's not a turtling map at times. There's a lot of easy engagements people can find here, and a lot of different plays that can be used. So I wouldn't say this was a safe map to depend on a draw. I'd say this is one of the teams going for the win. So I'm kind of curious as to where now Synergy are taking this push.
They have to get the win. They have to get the damage down. As you can see, they looked at the option over the green zone. They saw, okay, we can't do that, so let's try another option. Let's go back to where we started in the city and push up. Maybe if you're a little bit confused, obviously you can see the tanks on your screen. We on our new mod, saw Victor Kisley and Mo talking about the players developing tools, and this is one of the tools we are using. So you can see the other team, despite the fact that they're not spotted. And that's a great new function. Big shout out to Colby for doing that one. But tanks getting spotted now. Karma's got to be careful on that T1. He's in a great position for that 50-meter rule.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. And the one thing that you now learn to appreciate is how cautious these teams can be to one single corner. You can literally see the Butcher and Potomaco are just around a corner there. They're literally almost in the sights of Arclit, but they're so careful. They so, intricately know this map within such detail that they know if I come around this corner, I might get spotted. That's not what I'm going to do. So where are the options laying now for Lemming Train? Obviously, they're playing quite passive. They barely made a move here. Are they just going to have to depend on hitting those shots when they get gifted them?
Yeah, they have to get the shots down. Actually, at the moment, they're in quite a dangerous position. You can see two of their tanks near Pathology Materials have been spotted in those IS-3s. Elian's actually still out of plays down in like H8, along with that T1 of Snip, so kind of out of position. So it's 4 tanks from Synergy. One of them sitting down in K5. Yeah, okay, he's far away, but you can still get that crossfire, so he'll be able to do plenty of damage. Elian, on the other hand, I was speaking how far he is, out of position he is. He won't be able to do anything for his team if he gets pushed. And Synergy, they have that sixth sense. They know they can do that.
And look at this, literally stalemate already, but how close these guys are. They've worked out by process of almost elimination as to where the opponents are. Shanish and Applewell waiting it out, see if they could maybe catch someone on the rotate, or someone being out of position by a touch. But you're not going to get mistakes like that. It's going to be forced, if anything. So we are going to be seeing a little bit of a rotate once again from Synergy. They are really happy to keep moving around this map. They're being fluid as ever. And the one thing I did want to see was, have they adapted since the last finals you saw them? They almost lost it due to the lack of patience and the loss of, the lack of discipline on occasion. They go aggressive. That's their thing. It may be good, it may be bad. But this time, they haven't changed at all. They're still testing the waters here. They're not just going to be turtling down saying, okay, you come to us. They're still doing their thing.
Yeah, they're going to play their game regardless. I think the worst thing you can do is really move away from what you've practiced and what you've developed and at home and in a comfortable environment with all the stats and things where generally you can really think clearly. Whereas this environment's a lot more high pressure. You've got the crowd, you've got the booze, you've got your players next to you, which always doesn't help. And of course, you've got the monolith to think about. You've got the prize money to think about. But game by game is obviously important. We speak about that a lot. You've got to think about this match as opposed to 3 or 4 matches ahead.
Of course, every team in any game, in any esports game that I've spoken to, it's. Obviously you want the win, you want the big tournament at the end, but you have to take it shell by shell, round by round, map by map, because otherwise you can get into these situations that feel impossible. But if you take it round by round and shell by shell, you can do anything in this, and that is the opportunity here. And once again, we're seeing Neuron, ignore the last minute. It's come back to this. Alien once again down in this position. We're seeing, bit of a shot coming through there. Alien does get caught this time. Povel clearly on point.
Pavel's really one of the best players in Synergy altogether. He's such a fantastic hit. We got a little push from Lemming Train as they go down that train side, trying to connect some shells, do some damage back onto Synergy.
Yeah, and Materius is actually in trouble. He's going to be receiving a shell initially, and let's bear in mind, Synergy have only lost a tier 1 so far. They've not yet received any other damage given by Lemming Train. So far, HP pool certainly in Lemming Train's, in Synergy's hands, and we are seeing the fire coming back and forth. A little bit careful. No one wants to give away the game. This is the point here. You know, Armley did receive a shell, immediately goes into cover. No one wants to throw this early, and we are seeing a little bit of a kind of catch-up play coming around from that 4 and 5 line. If you look at that minimap, they could really engulf the opponent here.
They have to try and get themselves around. Synergy's a little bit focused on Materius and Pizzoni. That's probably what they're doing, as opposed to just getting the damage down. That's allowing Potomako and Butcher to get themselves right behind Shani Shanarklet.
Well, this is what it comes down to, ladies and gents. Butcher coming in. He does hit one shell, hits the second. Arklet's in trouble, but Shanish is getting covering fire down. This is not going the way of Lemming Train just yet. Fire now in support. They've done the job, but have they got enough support coming in from anywhere else? 1 minute left. Everything needs to happen right here, right now. Synergy are falling. Shanish is down. Arklet is down. Butcher and Potomako have done the job, but let's not count our chickens yet. Positive. Applewell still in the mix, coming through. Applewell gets the shot connected, but this is going either way, but Lemming Train have the advantage.
And Applewell's actually tracked. That was a bad move from him. He's kind of out of position. He's actually going to have to reload very soon. He's got 1 shell left. Potomako still got 1 shell. Niapazoni, Elian, and Materius are on the charge.
They are making their move. It's not going to be an easy one, however, as we do see the cap starting to begin. Povel is in trouble. Armley cowers away as Materius and Niapazoni power on through. This could be first map to Lemming Train if they get these shots connect. Armley is on a whisker of health. Anything could tape him down. Niapazoni carrying on, 22 seconds left. They need to make these kills and make them fast. There comes the first. Armley now left with nothing as Niapazoni takes him down. Applewell positive. Last 2 alive. 10 seconds left. They've got to get these shots in and make it count. Positive can just hide away. Can he hide long enough though? Applewell has been found. Niapazoni finds it. 1 man now stands. It's just Positive, and surely he's been taken down. Lemming Train take the first map.
What a fantastic first play from Lemming Train. You can see ecstatic with that win, and that was really textbook World of Tanks play right there. So first game going to the Polish fan favourites, obviously Lemming Train, as we are playing on Warsaw. So that will give them a nice little booster
just a
here.
Touch.
A nice little booster, because all they have to do now to take this best of 3 series and knock Synergy, obviously one of the favourites, down with that loser bracket, is get 1 more draw.
That's it, and Prokhorovka will be that next map. But I think we need to kind of look back at what we just saw, because I think we're seeing the kind of effects of that all over Synergy's face. That is what happens to Stalker when things go wrong. The frustration kicks in. That's when they find problems. That's when they start blaming each other. That is when the downfall begins. But you've got to give them, you know, a little bit of credit. They are playing against that extra man on Lemming Train. The crowd right here. Every kill, there was a cheer. This is the problem when you're facing off against a crowd of people who clearly are here to support Lemming Train, and I don't blame them. They played phenomenal on that first map.
I completely agree. And looking at it more tactically, obviously, Analyst Desk will be breaking down map by map as we go through. But
I think you can take us into some of what happened.
We can have a general idea of what happened.
Certainly.
Basically, Synergy were reacting to everything that Lemming Train was doing. They were going forwards, they were coming backwards, but what it ended up doing was Lemming Train cemented themselves more and more into the map. So as Synergy kind of went back and around, they lost their sync with the map, and they lost their real ability to adapt, and that's really what it came down to. Lemming Train could push in. They sent those 2 IS3s forward.
Yeah, Butcher and Potomako as well on that rotate around the flank.
Exactly, that was amazing, but the playmakers for me was the 2 IS3s there. They really did tunnel vision the whole of Synergy. They were all looking towards those 2, and they weren't looking out for Potomako and Butcher in those 2 5100s coming around, focusing the proper targets. Applewell going down first, obviously a star player from the side of Synergy. And once he was out of the equation, you can move on to bigger and better things. And at the end of the day, take 1 tank by 1. And eventually you'll see what happened. Lemming Train could just get themselves more and more into the game, and Synergy didn't stand a chance.
Sadly not, and that's the threat with Lemming Train. They're a team that's very easy to underestimate at times. They're a team that may not be your Virtus Pro, your team Team Test at the time. They're not the top 2 team, essentially. But during events like this, whether it be the Gamescoms, whether it be the grand finals, the global finals of the entire seasons put together, they can always turn up, and they always do well. Now, whether or not they can translate that throughout this tournament, looking at that first map, it was incredible. They looked on point, and we doubt them on occasion. We say that they don't have the best shots to be made on occasion. They don't always hit those shots, but they were on point right then. They put in work. They really have, and I think the highlight of this has been on the analysis desk. I believe it was Still Mojo, just saying it's all about training. Who's trained the most? Who's worked the hardest? And I think right now we're having an answer to that in the fact that Lemming Train, they said they couldn't boot camp as much as they wanted. They've had some struggles getting here. They've certainly not had the pampered way into the tournament. They are the wild card, essentially. They've turned up and they've done business. You know what I mean? That is the way you want to do things. And we, theorized that this was how they were going to start. They were going to go for the aggressive win on the first map and then play safer on the second. Prokhorovka, you can play that quite safely. But whether or not they can do that, now, they've kind of prodded the beast almost. Synergy are now awake. They know they may be in trouble. So it's certainly a different ball game on the second map.
And what's quite ironic, actually, about this situation is Synergy are deemed to be the better city map team at the end of the day. Lemming Trainers had to work on their city map skills a lot. They've really had to put the hours in, and it did pay off then, and it's paid off before,
for sure.
Recently in Season 3. So big props to them for bringing up their city map game. And I think Synergy's going to be doubly a worry now as we're moving on to Prokhorovka, because if Lemming Train are known for anything, they are known for that just pure open map skills. They have the AMX 3090 coordination. They got the T69s.
Definitely.
Absolute brilliant players in that, and all of that coming together allows them to engage quickly with the AMX 3090s. T69s provide that backup and the hold down ability. Pershing if you want it, 416 if you want it, and that really adds so many dynamics to their gameplay that it's really hard for any other team to really counter them. And you put on top of that just the ability for every single player in their team to make the shot calls, and then you have a really, really dangerous team. So Synergy, they should be doubly worried now.
Yeah, but then again, I feel it's hard to be so harsh on Synergy so early on, but this is the tournament. This is what happens when you get the world's best in one place. Whether you be first or second, they're so close. It's hard to split them, but we've had to. And at the end of the day, we could be losing someone who has nearly been finishing first, and they have finished first previously in their regional tournaments, leaving us very early on. Obviously it is you do have a second chance essentially in the lower bracket, but it's not like you're going to have an easier game. No. Everyone is phenomenal here, and it's very hard to get that into my head right now. I'm sitting going, Jesus, these teams literally could beat anyone. And we kind of spoke about this last night with all the other casters. We were in a room, we were doing our practice, and we were saying, the thing is, whoever makes it through this group has had probably the tougher route than most, because not only are you not against your own region the whole way through, you're against teams you never played on a regular basis, but you've proven yourself in the group of death. You know what I mean? Once you get out of that, you can focus completely on your next games. You know who you're playing, you know how they play, you know these guys almost intimately in their game style. So, whoever makes it through this, credit to them. I'm looking forward to seeing it. But I think we need to start putting our eyes towards Prokhorovka. As you mentioned, not a Synergy map. They have the great individual players. We cannot deny that. They have some phenomenal one-man bands, the likes of Apple Wow in the mix. You can't deny that, man. But, how can they pull together on this? Because they can't play passively. They have to go for the win here.
Exactly. They have to win it. They can't draw. They can't do anything else. They need to take this win, because Lemming Train, with our point system, we'll go through, you get 1 point for a draw. They've already got a couple of points for a win, so they simply just get the win if they draw. So Lemming Train, they can be pretty chilled out. They can relax a little bit more. Obviously, it's better to win than to draw, because you don't want to be seeing it towards the end of the game and suddenly have a great push, and we just saw how Lemming Train can do that superbly, and Synergy is fairly capable of doing that as well. So definitely going to be going for the win. You can see the teams on your screen now are very, very concentrated as we move on to our next map, Prokhorovka.
So welcome to Prokhorovka in the north in that red. It is Synergy in the south in blue. It is Lemming Train, and I don't think we're going to be seeing a passive game from either teams right now.
It doesn't look like it. You can see how aggressive Synergy are going in. Good gamble, actually, because they're going to catch out Lemming Train with a couple of shots on the side. Materius and that T32 is taking a punishing.
Yeah, he certainly is, and the shells have not quite stopped yet. Only Shanisho really receiving any notable damage so far, though, and it's acceptable to see, but Armley decides to go for a bit of a wander into the enemy base, essentially. He's pretty much out there on a limb, and he's just saying, come at me, buddy. This is what I'm going to be doing, and let's see how it goes. Obviously, we're seeing the teams kind of working their way through here. A couple of shells going back and forth, and, Synergy, they're still being aggressive right now.
It's a very bold move from Armley, somewhat more than I would have expected. He's already down to about 20% HP. That was a brilliant position for Elian, who's now on reload, so he's got 30 seconds left on that one. Apowow's on the rotate now. He's going to try and take down Elian, but he's got the rest of Lemming Train on the other side, ready to deal with him. At the moment, Lemming Train are in that driving seat.
They certainly are, but Apple does manage to hit the shot eventually on Alien there. We are seeing a man who certainly can. If you're going to be a faith in anyone, you want it to be him. So he's peering up and over. Alien does get punished, down to 8 6, 7 HP, and he does manage to escape the rest of the fire coming through. But finally, Synergy have calmed down, but at the expense of almost... at the expense of Povl and Armley, and you can see those shells, they're not stopping. Synergy are absolutely hammering these through. This guy is dodging shells like it's going out of fashion. But credit him, look, if you can get away from Applewell staring down at you with that turret, you can do anything pretty much. So Lemming Train clearly confident. Alien there just managed to pretty much dodge everything that's been thrown at them quite literally. But Povl and Armley so low, that's got to be worrying Synergy at this point.
It has to be worrying them. So much damage at the beginning. It'll definitely limit their options going through this game. Lemming Train, it'll increase their options. They've only lost a little bit. Okay, Alien's down 1 shot thanks to some fantastic dodging. Basically driving in a straight line, but I couldn't hit a barn door from Synergy at the moment. And it's quite funny, actually, because we said Lemming Train don't usually hit anything, just based on the raw statistics of the team. Well, it doesn't look like that. The nerve's definitely getting to Synergy at this point in time. Materius, that real block in the middle of the map, the T-32, a real monster in this team. He has so much firepower. Obviously, a good amount of armor and 1,550 HP to back it all up with. So great tank, played by a great player, Materius there. Carmen's starting to move up in that T1. He's going to be trying to get some spots out. If he could take down Stalker here, that'll give him even more of an advantage. That'll stop Stalker, who we talked a little bit about before in the pre-game, and he said he was a very aggressive spot. He goes forwards, he tries to get that information for the team. But Applewell having another dip.
Yeah, this time not so cautiously. Let's see if he can do what Alien did to him. He's dodged 1 shell at least, receiving a little bit more damage, but he's not going to be hiding away from anyone right now. He needs to be careful here. He is in enemy territory. We are seeing finally a little bit of a reply from Synergy. Carmen now down, but maybe that's not a bad thing. Sometimes he can lead then a little bit better as maybe the main kind of vocal man within that team on occasion. But we are seeing Applewell, Synergy aren't afraid to get their hands dirty here, but they're also losing so much HP.
And it was really down to a perfect play by Lemming Train. They had a perfect counter-attack to them. Alien was in the right place at the right time, and they're just waiting for Synergy to go forwards and play some really aggressive games. So basically, Lemming Train just need to make sure that they don't screw anything too much up. Obviously, you can see the lineup from Synergy is very burst intense. You've got 3 T69s, 2 MX-3090s on only positive left in that T1. Lemming Train something a little bit more strong and more consistent. So you've got the T32 and the Pershing both haven't got autoloaders, so they will just be able to pump out the damage and they're a little stronger. And you've got the T69 and the double AMX-3090, so you've got a bit more burst firepower from those two. So a good setup. I think, personally, I prefer Lemming Train setup because you've got the HP. Okay, the T30 is a little bit slower. You've got the Pershing with the T15E2M2, which can really, really punish you if you do anything bad. Only the aim down time, I think, is the bad thing. But obviously, these guys are playing on fully pimped accounts. You've got all the crew skills. You've got everything you want. You can see the kind of equipment they're using at the bottom. So if you want to take some tips away with you, how you can improve your gameplay, always have a look at that.
Yeah, and I do like seeing the way that actually, Lemming Train, we keep going on about it. They don't have one leader. They have every single player able to make these calls. And you can see it when these cameras come up, you can see, whether it be Polemaco saying something, whether it be Alien saying something. Obviously, Alien being the main guy, you expect him to see a little bit more. But they're all talking back and forth in constant conversation, just making sure everyone's on that same page. And now I want to look at it from Synergy's point of view here. Very low HP. They cannot play this one out to the end and hope for a draw. They have to make a move. Now, let's say your 3 pretty strong players, so Povl, Armley, and Applewell, are all down below 400 HP. How can you do anything with that? Because they've got to have a plan here.
Well, there's 2 things you can do. You can either come up with a brilliant tactic that will just take one of the other team's tier 8 tanks down really quickly, which will give you the firepower and it will definitely tip the HP back into balance. Or you can wait for the other team to make a mistake and push forward in a bad position, allow your fully autoloading tanks just to unload all their shells, and it only takes a few seconds for a tier 8 tank to go down. Even a T32, 1,500 HP is not very much when you've got 6 shells doing 240 average damage. So at the moment, Lemming Train just need to make sure they don't make that stupid mistake. Synergy, they either need to come up with something which is brilliant, or they need to make sure that Lemming Train is forced into a position where they do make a mistake.
Yeah, and I do want to point out, obviously, we do get a little bit mean to Lemming Train on occasion about their aim stats, but if you do actually go onto the players, eventually you'll see it when we're in the first person, how many shots they make. So Materius, for example, he spammed out 23 shots already, hit 3, but they're all blind shots, just, make a little bit of damage here and there, make sure everything's clear, get a good kind of mental note of where things actually are. And we're seeing that pay off for them in this. They're keeping a good advantage, and we are seeing another couple of shells coming through. But at the moment, every single player is doing the same. They make it very hard to feel comfortable on this map against them.
Yeah, they've got to make sure they keep on doing that, and you can see Shanish is just pushing forwards in a T69 and really trying to get a good position along with Arclit. Is a second-hand man, and Positive also going up there with the T1, and you can see the other T1's actually heading up this the C line now, the 6th line. So everyone's starting to get themselves into a new position. I think what Synergy can see is that we've kind of cornered, despite the HP advantage Lemming Train has. Into that like square. You can see the square where Lemming Train is just completely positioned. That means we can get our tanks around, we can use these hills, we can use the gun depression on the hills with the T69s, maybe use the tier 1s to go forward, spot the tanks in the in that tree road, and then get the damage down on them very, very quickly indeed. Obviously keep a couple of tanks to make sure that Lemming Train aren't able to escape very quickly if they do want to, but you can see that tactic is indeed going to be utilised near Pizzoni, already getting that sixth sense that he doesn't want to go any further forwards, and he's certainly going to be reversing Potomac up towards the left. He's going to be spotting them out if they do come forwards.
Yes, Shanish has now been spotted, so at least some part of the plan has been revealed. Lemming Train are aware that there may be a move being made towards them, and they just have to brace for impact pretty much and hope they can get through this, because let's bear in mind, Lemming Train have the advantage. If this goes to a draw, then Lemming Train win anyway. So pretty much it's all in the hands of Synergy to make this happen, and I think we are seeing finally the first couple of shells coming through. That tier 1 does get removed, so Positive will be joining Stalker, and the shells now being exchanged. Alien does get a couple flying. Armley so low still. Apple down very low as well, and not that many shells have hit Lemming Train yet. Let's bear that in mind as well. Materius still very strong. Alien barely being scraped, and look at Povel's HP. That is 7 HP. That's not enough to work with.
That was great actually for Lemming Train, because they kind of ignored those tanks pushing up.
Yep.
And they just said, okay, we actually need to do the damage on the low HP tanks, so not Shanish or Arkley who are pushing forwards. Let's do damage on Povel, take him down to one shot and potentially kill him. Shanish in trouble.
Yeah, Shanish is in severe trouble. He's now joined the low HP club. Arkley has to pick up the mantle, because I believe this is the push we've been waiting for. Synergy are putting everything into this. Materius is just going to stand here and take it like a champ. Literally, one shell connects. Butcher now joins in. Armley still low. The HP pool of Synergy is minuscule right here. Materius does go down low, however. 126 HP towards him. He's been taken down. There's still hope alive for Synergy, but 37 seconds, and they're falling like flies. This is not what we wanted. Shanish is down. Povel, Armley, Applewell, and Arklid still stand, and they've got to pull this off. Butcher may be in a bad position here. He's going to have one shell coming across. No connection. There's the shot they wanted. Butcher down low. He's been removed. Synergy, they're fighting for this. They are not out just yet, but one of these tanks could probably kill almost all of them. 15 seconds left. Synergy have to make this count. Everything comes down to this. Niers Pizzoni, Alien, and Potomako can wait. And let's bear in mind, Snip can play smart as well and stay safe in this and stay alive, but here come those shots. Alien connected. He's the man with a plan, and he's making it work. Dodging those shells earlier, gets revenge. Beautifully played, and ladies and gentlemen, it is a draw, but it means Lemming Train win overall.
Yeah, and do take the victory. Ensk went to them, and now drawing on Prokhorovka, and I think they would have probably won that game anyway. 3 tier 8 tanks alive for them will mean that they send Synergy packing down towards that lower bracket as they progress through the second round of the winners bracket to fight whoever wins the next game between Simp and Wusa.
And what a phenomenal bit of a watch we had there. Alien, big play then. Initially he got in trouble. He had the likes of Applewell staring him down with that turret, and somehow he managed to avoid those shells that were literally a centimeter behind him, and got to a position well enough to be able to take down, or to do so much damage back to them later in that game. He got 1 kill, but the damage he caused just to, when they made that final push, their final chance at getting any of these players down, he stayed safe, he stayed alive, and he did the work. And you saw Carmen at the end even go for a little bit of a dance. He's clearly happy. He's been fed, he's been watered, and he's looking pretty cheerful here. So credit to Lemming Train. They have come out to play. They are looking dangerous in this. They have a plan. They know how to play it. They got the map choices they clearly wanted as well. And Synergy, back to the drawing board, guys. That's all you can say here. It was a shame. The first map, they played well. They made, a lot of the moves. They played, quite fluid World of Tanks. They weren't just sitting back and camping. They were playing the game that we know they can play. but it just didn't come through. Lemming Train at the end were just a little bit stronger, and I think we need to hear it from the man themselves. Let's head back down to stage to hear from the one, the only, Carmen and Mitch.
Thank you very much, Oliver and Pansy. Carmen, the hometown heroes take the first game of the day.
Good morning, my friend. Good morning.
You must be happy about that. Tell me, the first map of Ensk, you guys played it safe, played it slow. You pushed Alien wide, down the green side. Now, Synergy were moving around a lot early on. Were you aware of this?
Yeah, we were aware because we spotted that they break some fences in case of the F-road. We know that the and spotted one by proxy on our T1. And then we know that some heavy tanks are in the middle, so we know that we can push by the green side. Then we spotted, I spot Arclid in the cap. We know they are defending. So we have the advantage of the T1, which we took down from the green side. So we decided to push me back. We knew that we have a T1 advantage and it's no tier 8 point rule. So we decided to attack. Maybe too slow, but happily it was last seconds when we killed the T1 and we are so happy with the first game. And second game was they have to attack, so we are happy that we could only defend. So it went really good for us at the beginning of the shots. Guys were doing amazing, and also the rundown of Ilian when they were missing, I think is one of the greatest action of him.
Yeah, that was a fantastic run from Alien. Well, look, either Wusa or Simp coming up next. Who would you rather face today?
To be honest, I would rather play versus Simp because they are from America and we are not facing them that much. In this case, for me, it's no problem who will be playing. We just need to win, so it's our focus today to win game. We started really good. Crowd is on our side. We just need to finish it. Thanks a lot. Dziękuję wszystkim.
Thank you very much, Carmen. You join your team. Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first, but it's time to go back and put that match under the microscope a little bit more. Let's hand it over to our experts. Clutch, take it away.
Thank you, Uber. Carmen, your wish is coming true. Simp defeats Team Warsaw 2-1, and they will face Lemming Train in the next matchup. Now, let's go ahead and talk about map number 1, Ensk. We saw the spread coming from Synergy on the west. They had their point man down in the south, Pavel, in a defensive play. And we're looking for where those T1s were going to scout the remainder of their enemies. Unfortunately, past the 5-minute mark for Synergy, that did not happen. They started to move, and then everything started to fall apart for them.
Yeah, it was pretty typical play for Synergy. They had spread out to the west side of the map, tried to see what the Lemming Train is. It didn't work out. They tried to push from the north, but they just didn't have the window to do that. Then they came back to their base and, well, Lemming Train took over from there.
Last time they met in Tichy, Lemming Train tried something really aggressive, and it really backfired on them. And now they played much more careful. They didn't want to get in the same kind of trap. So they are waiting to see where is Synergy. What will they do? What will happen? And when everyone thought it will be a draw, they made a decision. They're in that corner. Cool. We're going to go in and take care of them.
Well, the defense of Pavel by the flag capture really was trying to stop any type of push from the north down the train tracks. We've seen that a couple times where teams will push incredibly quickly to get down there and to outflank their opponent. Now, the bottleneck effect can happen either going from north to south or south to north. That's where the positioning of Lemming Train were. They did not fully commit down the railroad tracks. They were trying to stay out of any fire from the longer range targets that could happen. Sometimes teams bring a Pershing because of the 400-meter view range to get those shots on the train tracks. But because of the holding back, the non-commitment from Lemming Train, it made them more flexible in the end. And as you said, that one T1 was trying to get out of there to force the draw, but they got the final shot on the final second for them to get the win. And I felt that was a huge momentum build for their team moving in to Prokhorovka. And when we started Prokhorovka, quick action happening at the beginning, and then it started to fall apart. But as Carmen said, Alien, moving as fast as they could to get away from those shots, I felt was pretty critical for the rest of the map.
Yes, at least Synergy didn't hit the shells. Awesome job from Alien dodging the shells. I think that the map, because they lost Ensk, Synergy needed to do the work. They needed to win the match. If it's draw, they will lose. There was only chance. Synergy needed to push, but they were so low on HP for poking that, well, it's hard to push if you're one shot or two shots.
Yeah, the HP value that the teams had was allowed them to play the defensive play, but also bring that T-32. Meritorious out there holding the line with
Synergy
that tank.
tried to do it quick and dirty because they needed a win, and they tried literally copy-paste tactic they used against Lemming Train, which we destroyed Lemming Train in Tichy. But now, these guys knew, oh, here you are. Come on, guys. And they just shot them off. They lost so much HP that they were in trouble. They had to play faster tanks to take dominance in the map. Well, Lemming Train took a T-32, that is like moving fortress.
Yep.
When you are in those trenches, he's almost invulnerable, unless he's flanked, which they can't because they already positioned him well. So the game was just going to natural end. Once they lost that HP, it was all done. And when if even Alien died, it would be very hard for them to win, even if he died, but he survived like a magician.
He did. He missed those shots, but that comes down to the HP values that we're going to look at a lot before the 5-minute mark between these teams. If you are overmatched in HP, meaning your team has more HP than you, and you fall back into position, if they can get a flank on one of your sides and kill one of your tanks, they're going to aggressively push. And that clock can be such a factor between these two teams when you're in that type of position. Now, because of the draw rule, as we saw, when you win game one, narrowly, which Lemming Train did, they had that option to hold back. And I feel that teams are going to have to adjust with how are they going to get those flanks, especially against the Fortress, the T-32, the bunker tank, on a map like Prokhorovka.
Like on the game one, Ensk was like as exciting as it gets. But Lemming Train did really smart thing. While Synergy gave up on attacking and went total defense, they said, we're gonna strike and do whatever we can, and maybe in last seconds they can always hide the tank and it will be a draw. Who cares? But they're on offensive side, they're doing the striking and they're controlling the game, and it paid off big time because in the second game they were completely dominant.
Let's take a look at the stats of who did the most damage in that last game. And our observers did a wonderful job to show us the action, but obviously 7 tanks on a battlefield, you can't really catch all of the shots, all of the damages that are done. But the top damage dealer usually is the MVP for a lot of these matches. And when we do look at those stats, we try to configure, okay, what was the most important part of this match? What was the crux of this match? I honestly have to say, even though they did a lot of damage on that side, it was Alien getting out of those shots, because if they had landed one of those, if they had tracked him, if they had incapacitated him in some way, if they had hurt one of his modules or forced him to repair, then that is a weakness in the defense that they could try to exploit. But it's a very small window. Very small window.
Prokhorovka, MVP is always the guy that spots, because he literally in first seconds gives all information to his team that is needed, what to play in next part of the match. So that guy is the most important, no matter the damage done.
Alien did 1607 in his 1390. Pretty impressive, especially being on the run for most of the time there. And then the least damage done. Now this is a tough place for any of these teams when you miss your shots, because if you can pinpoint where the weakest link in your chain is, you've got to fix it, especially for this tournament. And Synergy has to sit down and look at who missed their shots. What happened? How can we fix this for it to not happen again? Now they're in the losers bracket, and they're going to be facing Team Warsaw, I believe, in the losers bracket.
Yes.
A team not to mess with.
They met them already at World Cyber Games at final, and they were actually losing to Warsaw 2-0. One game was between Warsaw and becoming world champions, but it was too much for them, I guess, and Synergy won because they were a more patient team, and now they have a rematch. What will happen, we don't know. Warsaw definitely don't feed them because they're kind of team that knows how to counter push, and Synergy knows to spread it out a lot around the map, and these guys know to group up and strike hard on one spot.
We saw that spread from Synergy on Ensk,
yeah,
but they were not able to escape that one last shot. Yeah. Any final words, gentlemen, on that first battle?
Synergy needs to change their tactic against Warsaw, like he said. Warsaw plays counter tactics, so Synergy cannot spread out that much. So
I think they failed on spotting on Ensk big time. They really allowed 2 tanks to come, big tanks to come in their proximity, completely unspotted, caught them off guard. I really don't know how could they mess up such a thing to let entire line without anyone spotting it, but it costed them.
And they had the T1 in the...
They had the T1, but he was just spotting the rail, the big tanks he saw.
Yeah.
And they came completely out of the blue.
The next battle is going to be You Are Dead versus Red Rush Unity. The players are getting set up. We're going to toss on over to our social media host, Melly.
Thank you very much, Josh. Well, as mentioned earlier, you have the chance to get involved into our show via Twitter, via Facebook, via every social media platform you can ever imagine, and also join the conversation in our Twitch chat by simply, well, you have to use, of course, a hashtag. That's the grand finals, which you have to put behind your messages on Facebook and Twitter to make sure that I can actually see them. But a quick update regarding our Twitter community: they're really happy that Lemming Train actually won the match. And yeah, as said, get involved, be part of our conversation, and you, of course, at home have the chance to vote for your favorite team on our homepage, thegrandfinals.com. Just click on schedule and vote for your favorite team. We will show the results during the matches, and I'm really excited. And yeah, that was just a quick, rough update regarding our social media happenings. Later, more to that. We also, of course, prepared challenges, so stay tuned. We will be back after a short break.